Welcome everyone to our 2020 webinar series. Today we've got some fantastic presenters and hosts today. We are going to be covering our Humanities and Social Sciences, Education and Teaching and Tourism, where we have presenters from the College of Arts, Law and Education from the University of Tasmania. So before I proceed, I would like to make an acknowledgement of country. So today we are meeting on the Lutruwita Aboriginal land, sea and waterways. I acknowledge with deep respect the traditional owners of this land, the Muwanina people, which we meet today. I pay my respects to elders past and present and to the many Aboriginal people that did not make elder status and to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community that continue to care for my country. So our hosts today are Dr. Anthony, who's currently having technical issues, so hopefully he'll be able to join us as soon as possible. We will have Dr. Josie as well for the Masters of Social Work qualifying, who's our course coordinator. Dr. David Molto as well, who is the Masters of Teaching course coordinator, who's also having technical issues at the moment, so apologies for that to the audience. And we've also got Professor Anne, who is for the course coordinator for our Masters of Tourism, Environmental and Cultural Heritage. So just a bit of housekeeping rules. So I will be facilitating the questions and answers live towards the end of the session. So please feel free to pop in any questions you guys have in the chat box, and we will go through the questions and make sure that we try to ask them live as much as possible. So feel free to do that throughout the session. You don't have to wait towards the end. So a little bit about our place, where we are located. So I'm sure a lot of you hopefully know where Tasmania is located. We are an island state off an island, and it really is a place unlike any other. So I'm hoping if some of you have previously come to Tasmania before for travel purposes or for work purposes or to visit our campus, but we truly are a place unlike any other state in Australia, I believe. Today's focus obviously is going to be on the College of Arts, Law and Education. And within that faculty and college, we offer so many different disciplines and areas where students can get hold of various different types of courses. As a university, we offer so many different types of courses across all of our colleges. But today we're going to be focusing on teaching the Bachelor of Arts, Masters of Social Work, as well as the Bachelor of Social Work. And we're going to provide you with a bit more insight into these courses as much as possible. So feel free to pop in any questions you have. And also these areas of courses tend to be the most popular, where we have a lot of international students becoming interested in them and wanting to pursue a career in social work or in teaching. So they're quite high in demand as well. So we'll touch base on a couple of slides on the graduate outcomes and career prospects and things like that for international students. Obviously, in terms of our courses, we offer a wide range of undergrad courses such as our diplomas and bachelor degrees, which we'll talk about today, as well as honors components to our bachelor degrees if you're interested in pursuing your studies further after you complete your bachelor degree. Of course, postgraduate level as well, such as the Masters of Teaching and Masters of Social Work, and obviously for students who are interested to pursue their studies even further into research and PhD level. Our whole island is your campus, and that's quite literal, the motto that we go by at the University of Tasmania. So really, Tasmania is a super affordable place to live compared to a lot of the mainland cities in Australia. Obviously, it's got natural environments. So 40% of our state is all natural wilderness and heritage areas, which makes it quite unique compared to a lot of other places in Australia. And obviously, not only do students get the chance to explore this stunning island, but it becomes an integral part of their learning experience. So they utilize the island to the best of their ability to make sure that, as part of their studies, if there's any research that they're taking part of or any sort of component of their course, that they can utilize the island, I guess, in any way possible as to their to help with their learning experience. So The next slide is how we help humanities and social sciences and education students succeed. So first of all, what the University of Tasmania is really famous for is our work integrated learning opportunities. So obviously across our Bachelor of Arts, social work and education programs, there is a lot of placements that are available for students throughout their degree, which obviously becomes a huge component towards their learning outcomes upon graduation. Our island is your classroom, so there are opportunities for students to study across different sites across the campus. So because we are the only university available in all of Tasmania, what I mentioned before in the previous slide, your whole island is your campus. An emphasis on sustainability and social justice, which is something that the College of Arts, Law and Education and a university as a whole, we really focus on that to make sure that we are working towards a sustainable future in every sort of practice and discipline area that we teach at the University of Tasmania. We do have really strong links to industry. Again, this is one of our strengths as part of the University of Tasmania. So we have, so our courses are pretty much designed in a way where we have partnership with industry, and it really provides students with opportunities to network, not only as part of with the academics throughout their degree, but also external stakeholders, different industries where there are networking events or anything that takes place as part of the degree to provide students the opportunity to showcase them, I guess, individually. And of course, the last but not least, job-ready graduates. So at the University of Tasmania, we're really focused on making sure that our graduates are job-ready, and this in a way links to our ability to have strong links in industry. So us understanding what industry needs makes sure that we do produce graduates who are job-ready for the market. Now we're going to proceed on to speaking about the Bachelor of Arts, and I believe Anthony may still be having some technical issues, but I'll hand over to our next speaker. We do have Tris here as well, who's part of the College of Arts, Law and Education, who is able to also speak on behalf of Anthony. Thanks, Tris. I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Mona. And Anthony sends his apologies. We're just having some technical difficulties at the moment, but he would have loved to have been here to speak to you about the Bachelor of Arts. Dr. Anthony Page is our course coordinator for the Bachelor of Arts, and it is our flagship program for the College of Arts, Law and Education, with a large number of Tasmanian students from across Australia and students from around the globe who are studying in this course. It's a flexible degree, so students can choose from a range of 20 different majors across the Humanities and Social Sciences. We also have majors from Education, Creative Arts and Justice Studies, and each student is assigned, when you begin with us, each student is assigned an academic mentor who will help you to design your individual study plan to meet your interests and your career goals. The beauty of a Bachelor of Arts is that graduates have those skills that employers really value. So a Bachelor of Arts really teaches you how to think, it teaches you creativity, problem solving, critical thinking. It teaches you how to work in teams with other students and colleagues. And these are the types of soft skills that employers are really looking for in graduates. It is a firm pathway into a meaningful career. The average starting salary of a Bachelor of Arts graduate is actually $70,000 a year, which is a good starting salary for a graduate. And as I mentioned, there are over 20 majors to choose from. And here's just a brief snapshot. So we teach languages with an emphasis on Asian languages, Chinese, Japanese, and Indonesian. We have majors in art and curatorial practice, and Tasmania is a beautiful place to study art, creative arts. We have, some of the best museums and galleries in the world here, and a thriving creative arts sector. You could choose from philosophy, sociology, history, gender studies, criminology, justice studies, education, and one of our most popular disciplines, particularly for our international students, is politics and international relations. And we have experts teaching in this from a broad range of international relations disciplines, experts on Australian politics, US politics, on China, on Southeast Asia. So it's a beautiful degree if you want to explore a breadth of knowledge throughout your time with us. The flexibility of the course also offers you the option to take a semester overseas, and we have a network of exchange partners around the globe. You can choose from 1 or 2 semesters overseas, and we also have a range of short term, sometimes 2 or 4 weeks, where you might go and immerse yourself in Indonesia, in India, in a range of other countries around the globe where we have partnerships. It's a 3-year course. We offer it at all of our Tasmanian campuses, so you can choose from Hobart, Launceston, or the Cradle Coast campus. And it has 2 intakes a year, so you can commence with us either in semester 1 or in semester 2. Are you able to move to the next slide, please, Mona? So this gives you a snapshot of the course architecture, or a sample course structure for the Bachelor of Arts. Each student selects the major. So throughout your 3 years, you will build a depth of knowledge in a particular major. So you will start at first year, build on that in second year, and move into your major, or complete your major in third year. So that's 100 credit points, or the equivalent of a full year of study load. You can also choose from 100 credit points of discipline elective units, and then you have the option of either choosing a further 100 credit points of electives, or you might choose a second major from the major schedule. So you might, for example, choose to do a double major in languages and politics, or you might choose to do a double major in creative arts and art and curatorial practice. So there's a wide range of opportunities for students with interest in a variety of backgrounds. And as I mentioned early on, you'll be assigned an academic mentor who will help you to navigate those course choices. Next slide, please. So this is a snapshot of our student experience and the graduate outcomes for students who choose to take on a Bachelor of Arts. So we have really high rates of student satisfaction. 86.2% rated teaching practice positively in their end of degree survey. 84% of students found employment within 4 months of graduation. So that's a really positive outlook in terms of employment opportunities. And as I mentioned earlier, the median graduate salary for a BA graduate is just over $70,000, and that's almost 20% higher than the Australian national average, which sits just under $60,000. So it really does set you up for a strong foundation in your career pathway, and there are many different career opportunities that are available for Bachelor of Arts students. You'll find people with a Bachelor of Arts in all careers, so you know, from working in education to politics and policy, working in the corporate sector. One of the beautiful things about Bachelor of Arts graduates is that critical thinking, communication skills, and so it's a really broad skill set that can set you up for multiple avenues depending on what you choose to do career-wise. So I'll hand over now to, I think Jocelyn is up next to talk about our social work course.
Thanks very much, Tristan. Welcome everyone to our webinar. My name is Jocelyn Baltroyor, and I coordinate the Masters of Social Work at UTAS. Thank you, Mona. The next slide. Thank you. So we have currently the Bachelor of Social Work with Honours on offer, and this is a fairly recent introduction to our programs. We are in the second year of introducing this new program. This program has been designed in consultation with industry, in consultation with practitioners in the field, and also our past graduates. So it reflects the very current trends in the social work industry. We teach students to respond to social justice and human rights issues. We teach them about cultural sensitivity. We teach them about human rights, and we are also teaching them about responding to these highly disruptive moments in history. So it's a very cumbersome education that a social work graduate comes out with. We have an integrated program, so that means that our students spend considerable time out in placement, where they are connected to networks which they can then expand on as they graduate. So upon graduation, our students are connected to industry, are known by the field, and job ready basically. 74.4% of our recent graduates in social work found full-time employment. That's 3% above the national average of 71.4%. So that's a really good outcome for our graduates. The course is a 4-year full-time course or part-time equivalent, and we offer it at Hobart, Launceston and Cradle Coast. We only have one intake in March each year. Thanks, Mona. Now, this is a little bit of a snapshot of our course structure. In the Bachelor of Social Work with Honours, students are required to complete 400 credit points, and these are split between what we call degree core knowledge and the social work courses. So in the first 2 years of this degree, students will study across the social sciences. They'll study with us as well in introductory units to social work. They'll study sociology, gender studies, all sorts of things, philosophy. They'll do psychology as well, and in their last 2 years they'll come and do the social work specific units, and in those last 2 years is when they have the option of a research or a professional honours pathway. The research pathway is by invitation only. Thank you, Mona. Now, the Masters of Social Work qualifying, it's never been more important than now to engage in everything that's going on in society. So we have a lot of people who are interested in reskilling or entering the social work field, and this is a perfect qualification for doing so. This 2-year course degree also offers 1,000 hours of practical learning, where students get to network and connect with the field in Tasmania across, and we offer placements across different spheres of social work in Tasmania. In the non-government sector, in the government sector, we are connected to organisations like Red Cross, Babcare, the Department of Communities. You'll find social work students just about in every government department, you know, trying out what it's like to be a social worker working in that space. They'll be working with children, with families, with people in prison, with individuals, with communities, doing all sorts of things from group work to counselling to policy work, research work. So the experiences they gain in this degree are very broad and also unique given the context we're in Tasmania. There's a range of career paths for social workers. When someone graduates with a Master's of Social Work qualifying or a Bachelor of Social Work with Honours, they can become policy advisors, they can be project managers, they can work in drug and alcohol as counsellors, they can be advocates, they can work in the disability sector, in the aged care sector, they work in schools, in hospitals, in community centres. It's a very large and broad spectrum of career opportunities for our graduates. The Master of Social Work qualifying is a 2-year full-time course or a part-time equivalent, and we offer it in Hobart and Launceston at this stage, and our intake is in March each year. Thank you, Mona. Now, these are the core offerings in the Masters of Social Work qualifying course. So in the first year, you can see that students do 3 units in first semester, then they do a mid-year online unit at the moment, and then they go into their first placement in semester 2, where they conduct the first set of 500 hours of placement. And it's a similar structure for their second year, where they do 2 units in semester 1, 2 units in mid-year, and then that includes a placement, the last 500 hours of placement, and then they do a final unit, which we call our capstone unit, where they bring all their experience together and put together a portfolio that they can then take with them into future jobs. You'll see that they study a range of things from innovation and sustainability, communication skills. They learn about the theories and the frameworks we use in social work. They learn about research activity, and they learn a range of intervention styles and approaches in their practicum, and obviously get to know our clients and the people we work for and with. Thank you, Mona. Now, this is a snapshot of the outcomes that our students experience. So they report a very positive experience about the skills they've developed. 86.9% were really positive about their experience and what they learned in their degrees. Our graduates also have entered the workforce with very good job prospects. 83.9% of them found employment upon 4 or 5 months of graduation, and often it is in that last placement that they are connecting to potential employers, and many apply for jobs in the very place that they conducted their last placement in. They're earning really good money. On graduation, the median full-time salary for a social work graduate is $65,000. So that's above and on par with the national average. So this is a really great prospects for social work. Thank you, Mona. I think this is now over to whoever's talking about the Master of Teaching. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Joss. So Dr. David Molto had hoped to be here to talk through the Master of Teaching, but again, we're having some technical difficulties with Mac computers today, so apologies if you can't be here. So I'll try to talk to you about the Master of Teaching, which again is one of our very popular courses. We do offer both undergraduate and postgraduate teaching courses, but I'd like to focus on the Master of Teaching today, in large part because it tends to be one of our more popular options, particularly for our international students. So our Master of Teaching course is a 2-year full-time program or part-time equivalent. We teach it from our Hobart campus with a single entry in semester 1. So it's a heavily practice-based course. Students do what we refer to as professional experience placements, which is where students go into the classroom and they apply their theory in the classroom with children supervised by a qualified teacher. And that really sets students up to be classroom ready when they graduate. We have close partnerships with the Department of Education here, with Catholic education and with independent schools. So students are placed across either a public, private or Catholic school setting for their professional experience placement. And we have a team that supports you through that experience. The course is fully accredited with the Tasmanian Teachers Registration Board, which is the accrediting body for teachers here in Tasmania. And it's also recognised across Australia. So if students are interested in teaching elsewhere upon graduation, the qualification is recognised in other states in Australia. The content of our courses is very much informed by current research that's happening here at the University of Tasmania and also around the globe. And we have a strong emphasis or focus on expertise in English literacy, inclusive education, arts and creativity. And because of our geographical location, we have great strength in teaching regional and rural education. So that's one of the, I suppose, the advantages of a University of Tasmania degree, is that it has that flavour from the geography of our island. It's very much geared towards moving straight into employment as a practicing teacher, with 86% of our graduates moving into full-time teaching or full-time employment within a couple of months of graduation. Next slide, please. So the Master of Teaching within it provides a number of specialisations. So firstly, students choose whether or not they want to specialise in primary education. So that's from prep to grade 6, or approximately aged 5 to 12, or secondary education. So moving into colleges and high schools and colleges, so grades 7 to 12, or approximately 13 to 18 years. Then within that specialisation, there are further specialisations. For example, if you are opting to be a secondary teacher, you would specialise in English, Humanities and Social Sciences, Mathematics, Science, the Arts, or Languages, and that's very much informed by the undergraduate curriculum that you have studied. So for example, if you hold a Bachelor of Arts with a major in English, a natural progression might be into the Master of Teaching to become an English teacher. There are also proficiencies on the left-hand side, primary proficiencies. So even at the primary school level, teachers here have a particular specialisation. So that might be in the arts or in mathematics or in languages, and students are very much able to, depending on their undergraduate training, are able to select what specialisation and what stream they'd like to go into. Next slide, please. Again, this is very much a vocational focused course. So students are trained to become qualified teachers when they leave the University of Tasmania, having completed all of their professional experience placements within schools, and they 95% move into employment within 4 months of graduation, which is a very impressive employment outcome. And the median salary for a starting teacher is $74,000. So as you can see, that is an excellent platform for starting a career as a teacher. For many, it's their first move into employment, and for others, it might be a career change option for those who are later in their careers. I'll hand now to Associate Professor Anne Hardy, who leads our Tourism, Environmental and Cultural Heritage program.
Thanks, Tris. I'm just trying to get my camera up. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, great. Oh, excellent. All right. All right, well, hi everybody. Thanks very much for continuing to tune in. My name is Anne Hardy and I'm the course coordinator for the Master's, Graduate Diploma and the Graduate Certificate in Tourism, Environment and Cultural Heritage. It's quite a mouthful, so we like to give it a nickname. So we call it the M-Tech, the GD Tech or the GC Tech. And the reason why we give a tourism course a techie name is that a lot of this course really focuses on innovative technology and innovations in tourism. So we really focus on giving students a really sort of entrepreneurial, modern and also a sustainable view of the tourism industry. I guess some of the features of these particular offerings that we have are that they are very much place-based offerings. So we don't actually often teach like the normal sort of format of lectures and then tutorials in these degrees. The tourism units that we offer, many of them are actually taught at tourism sites around Tasmania. So the photo here is actually of Kan Seng Wee, one of our professors, teaching our students at an intensive in one of the core units down at the Port Arthur Historic Site. And this particular unit was actually co-designed by the Port Arthur Management Authority. It's a World Heritage Site, and they actually help us teach it and design the course. Another course that we teach is called Sustainable Tourism, or unit I should call it. It's called Sustainable Tourism, and we actually teach that unit up at Cradle Mountain, which is another World Heritage Site. It's really famous. It's dripping with wildlife like little wallabies, which are small kangaroos, and also wombats. So with that particular unit, we teach the students in amongst all the tourism activities, and we also have a lot of people from the tourism industry teaching into the units themselves. So we see a lot of Tasmania when we're learning, and it allows the students to really give themselves a very immersive experience and also to meet people from the tourism industry. All of our master, our graduate diploma and our graduate certificate are co-designed with the help of a tourism board. So we have an industry board with members from Tourism Tasmania, Brand Tasmania, the Parks and Wildlife Service and Qantas, just to name a few, plus Mona. And they help guide us in the design of our courses that we offer and also the content. So they tell us what they feel like the graduates need to know, and we teach it. So we've got quite a modern approach to our teaching and a very, very close relationship with the tourism industry. So the students get to meet lots of people from industry. This year, as we've gone through COVID, our board member from Qantas, who's the head of crisis management and safety, has briefed the students every 4 weeks. So they've been abreast of all the changes that have been happening. So we have a really dedicated board that help us, which is really great. Our students do units like venture creation, where they can actually road test an idea and then have real life venture capitalists assess their pitches. And we also offer them things like internships. So this year, our students have done internships with Brand Tasmania, regional tourism organisations in Tasmania, Wildlife Tourism Australia, and also with tourism businesses. We have some really good connections with the industry, as I've mentioned, but we also have international connections. So the University of Tasmania is actually the only Australian research partner of the United Nations World Tourism Organisation's Sustainable Tourism Division. And we've been made a research partner of that in recognition of the cutting edge research that we do. So the students are actually exposed to a lot of international case studies, but also they're also exposed to what the United Nations World Tourism Organization is doing, as well as their statistics. And we also do some co-learning with Lund University in Sweden. So while the course is based in Tasmania and it's very place-based, we do lots of our learning out on site with the tourism businesses, it has a real international focus to it. So it's place-based but outward-looking. As I mentioned before, we have a Master of Tourism, Environment and Cultural Heritage that we call the MTech. The MTech is designed as an 18-month full-time course, but students can actually accelerate it if they wish and complete it in 12 months. The location is Hobart, but actually we have students who live in the mainland of Australia who actually fly down, and because what we do is we offer the units in an intensive format. So if you have students who may want to actually continue to live in other places around Australia, then they can do that and then just come down and do the intensives in Tasmania. That means coming down around 3 to 4 times in the course of the course. And they can also do the rest of the units online should they wish. You can enter in semester 1 or 2. We also offer the graduate diploma. That's a shorter course that runs for 1 year full time. Again, it can be done in Hobart, or else you can do it and fly in from interstate if you've got international students who are living interstate and want to stay over there. And we offer the entry in semester 1 or semester 2. Could we have the next slide, Mona? Thank you. So this is an example of the 18-month study plan if you wanted to complete the master in that time, the MTech. So in your first year, in the first week of March, we do sustainable tourism. The students, as I mentioned before, for that particular unit, they go up and they complete the unit in 1 week. So we actually meet them in Hobart, we travel up on a bus, we go to the beautiful Cradle Mountain World Heritage Area, we have accommodation up there. We also have a night at our Cradle Coast campus, excuse me, and we do all the coursework in 1 week. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. I'm just going to get a water if that's okay. So that's in the first week of March. Just hold on a minute and I'm just going to have a sip of my water. In the second week of March, the students then do critical and contested issues in tourism. And that's the unit that's held down in Port Arthur, and it's co-taught with the heritage site, the Port Arthur Historic Site. Again, all the course content is completed in 1 week. Then the students go back after that. So they've spent 2 weeks studying, and then they go back and they have the remainder of the semester to complete the assignments for those 2 units. In this course plan, we've got some examples of some electives that students can do. We have electives in media writing, foundations of marketing. We have entrepreneurship units, and we have a lot of sort of social media units as well that the students can do, as well as protected area and planning units. So in this particular course planner, the student could live in Hobart and they could do all these units. Or, for example, if they wanted to live somewhere else around Australia, they could just fly down for a couple of weeks in March, complete the course material in sustainable tourism and critical, and then return back to media writing and doing media writing and foundations online should they wish. In this course planner, in the second semester, they would do sharing economy and disruptive innovations, which is, again, either an online or an on-campus learning unit. They could do protected area planning and management. And another one of our intensive units is the Global Issues in Tourism unit. That's where we take the students up to Sydney. We cover all the material in Sydney, which we hope to do next year if COVID allows us to. This year it didn't, so we actually took the students to this beautiful farm agri-tourism business, and we did all the learning there in 1 week. So what these intensives do is that they give the students a really nurturing experience. Our students, we believe this course is quite a boutique course, so they get to know each other, they have a wonderful time, and I think that's really important for students, particularly if they're international students, because it's as much about knowing each other as well as it is learning, and we're very, very dedicated to ensuring a really good student experience. In this course planner, you'll see at the end, the student might do an industry internship, they may do a research project, and they may choose to do venture creation, which is our capstone unit, where they actually pitch their business idea in front of venture capitalists. So that's the 18-month study plan. I'll show you the 12-month study plan, which is the accelerated one on the next slide, if that would be okay, Mona. Okay, this is an example if you wanted to do it quickly in 12 months. So you can see that we still do these intensives, sustainable and critical. In the second semester, you do sharing economy and global issues, and then you could actually do venture creation in spring school. So it's possible to actually get the master's done in an accelerated year, should you wish to do that. I'll show you, we'll go on to the next slide if that's okay, Mona. So I think this really talks about the special things about the course that we offer. As I mentioned before, we have the entire course from the board to the board that guides us, the design of our units, our co-teaching with the tourism industry. It's all about giving students maximum exposure to the tourism industry. because we offer internships as well, and also research projects that we can do with industry, the students get a really great opportunity to learn and to meet a lot of people from the industry. So that's probably one of the key things. Because we're Tasmania, we're a small island, we're very, very well connected with the tourism industry. So there's pretty much not a day that goes by that we're not actually working with them, or that they're not in the classroom with the students in one form or the other. The other thing to remember, as I mentioned before, is the island is a classroom. We're pretty much done with the days of the old lecture where we're sitting in talking about tourism. We believe that getting students out in the field and practicing what we preach, and having an amazing immersive experience and learning from the experts on the ground, watching tourism happening, that's the only way that we can really learn effectively and give a really fantastic tourism experience, as well as a great learning experience, because after all, we want to have fun when we're studying as well. So the island is our classroom. We have a strong emphasis on sustainability and social justice through our units. We are all about and really, really focused on looking at the industry and realising that the tourism industry, particularly at the moment, is one that's fraught with many, many issues. There are good things, there are bad things, and many challenges in the future. So we look at those issues. We look at global warming. We look at flight shaming. We look in change in travel preferences. We look at the impact of COVID. We have to constantly change what we work with in the content that we teach to keep up with these global trends in tourism. And we also have a strong focus, as I mentioned, on social justice. So ensuring that tourism is practiced sensitively, respecting human rights, and we tackle those issues face on. As I mentioned before, we have really strong links with the industry, and our big focus is on delivering job-ready graduates from the content that is helped with, assisted, designed by our board, right through to the internships that we offer. Our goal is really to deliver or to develop a group of graduates who are ready to go. Mona, could we have the next slide? Oh, maybe we'll go to the next one as well. So that's just photos. Oh, okay. I was hoping to get one more photo in, but I think it's the other slide there. That's okay. But this is a beautiful photo as well. This is our classroom. This is Cradle Mountain, and this is the group of students that we began the year with. There's around 21 of them, and this is our first day of learning. So we popped them on a bus down in Hobart. We had a talk from Tourism Tasmania. Oh, it's our second day, actually. Then we drove up to the Cradle Coast campus in the northwest of Tasmania. And the next day, we went out to Cradle Mountain to look at this beautiful World Heritage area. Then the Parks and Wildlife Service gave us a room, and we used that as our office for 5 days. So that's just a little insight into, some of the beautiful remote, but also tourism-focused places that we do our teaching in. So thank you very much for joining me and listening and learning a little bit more about tourism.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Anne, and to all the other presenters. It was such a good presentation. I definitely did learn a lot, especially about the social, cultural heritage and environmental and tourism. So thank you so much. I will be asking a few questions. I have been having a look at some of the questions coming through. So we've got about 4 or 5 of them. But just to the audience, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to pop them through now. It's a really good opportunity to ask the presenters any questions you have about any of the content that was presented today. But I'll pop on to the first question. We've got a few from Rachel. So this one was directed to you, Tris, but pretty much Rachel's asking, what is going to be written on the certificate in terms of the degree? Let's say if a student is doing a double major in criminology and psychological science, I believe.
That is a great question. And I actually can't answer that for certain right now. I apologise for that. Anthony would have been able to answer that in a heartbeat, but I'll need to get back to you with a response on that. I'm not entirely sure whether both majors end up on the test day mark, so leave it with me and I'll come back to you on that.
No worries. Thanks, Tris. The other one was about social work. So maybe Joss, you can answer this one. So for the program for Bachelor of Social Work, it has 1,000 hours of practicum. Will UTAS organize the place for the practicum? Yeah, that was the question. So I guess, yeah, will UTAS organize any placements for the 1,000 hours?
Yes, we do. We organise the placements, and we have here my colleague Julie Roberts, who coordinates the placement organisation in Hobart. Julie, did you want to add anything to that?
Just to say that we do match students to the placements. There are 2 placements that are 500 hours, and in accordance with the AASW requirements, that means that students get 2 quite different opportunities to experience different fields of social work, being such a broad area of or such a broad field. One of those placements needs to be direct practice, that's a requirement, but it means that you might do one where you're focusing on children and families, for example, and your second placement you might get to look at aged care or health or a different field of practice. So in the process of matching students to placements, we look at what their first placement experience was and how that compares then to the second year, to give you the best broad experience that we can.
And Julie, are these practical hours throughout the whole campuses, or throughout, let's say, if a student is studying at the Hobart campus, do they get to do their pracs in Launceston, etc.?
This year's been a bit different. So obviously everyone's been working online because of COVID. There's not a specific, generally speaking, we would match students to an agency near where they're living for convenience, but if you happen to live in Hobart but want to do a placement in Launceston and that was possible, we could make some arrangements around that as well. So it's not locked in that regard.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Julie. That was really good. The next question is from Rachel again. So if a student graduates other than a Bachelor of Social Science or Bachelor of Arts, what are the requirements to have direct entry into Master of Qualifying? So Master of Social Work qualifying.
Okay, so a student who holds a previous degree and in their previous degree, they have studied up to 8 units in the studies of society and the studies of the individual would qualify for direct entry into the Masters of Social Work qualifying. So it's a process where we look closely at what the student has done, the degree they have, and if it is not a related field degree, then we look at whatever discipline they have completed their degree in, to see how many units in the studies of society and the studies of the individual they have completed. And if they haven't completed the 8 that we require for entry into the Masters, then we would make an offer into the Bachelor of Social Work with Honours to complete their required units and then come to the Masters. So that's a pathway option there.
Fantastic. And I'll just note to the audience that sometimes it depends. So it could just be 1 semester that the student will need to do, depending on how many units they've previously studied in their bachelor degree. So just mentioned. So sometimes it ends up being a 1-year packaged of letter of offer with entry into masters later on, and sometimes it ends up maybe just being 1 semester. So it really comes down to what was the previous sort of study. Fantastic, thank you. We've got a question here from Jenny. So after completing the degree, can candidates work as a social worker? And also she's written therapists as well.
Okay, after you've completed either your Bachelor of Social Work with Honours or your Masters of Social Work qualifying, yes, you can work as a social worker and you will be eligible to register as a social worker with the Australian Association of Social Workers. Whether or not you work as a therapist, it really is up to the job that you apply for and what sort of skills they're looking for. If they are looking for a social worker, then you would be working as a therapist. the qualification itself is general and broad. So you could apply to be a therapist if you had a social work degree, if that's what they were looking for.
Fantastic. And I had a question myself, Joss. So is the registration requirements overall for Australia, as you mentioned before, to become a social worker, or is it different in Tasmania as such?
No, it's a national accreditation body. The Australian Association of Social Workers is a national body. And at the moment, social work graduates or social workers are not required to be registered, but they can register if they want to. And employers look for graduates who would be eligible for registration, but not necessarily registered. So the degree itself, if you complete it successfully, is what meets the eligibility requirement. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. That's really good. I didn't know that. Thank you. And Rachel's got a last question. So will the student do that during the semester or when it be start? Sorry, Rachel, I didn't know what you're relating to in terms of your question. It could be, I think, maybe, Professor Anne, it could be in relation to the Masters of Tourism Environmental in terms of the practical or social work. Sorry, I'm just getting clarification. But if anyone has any sort of questions, please pop them through. Oh, Anne, you're here. So I guess, yeah, in terms of the Masters of Tourism, Environmental, Cultural Heritage, the prac side that goes into it, is that throughout the whole sort of course duration of the degree?
Yes, it is. So with the core units that we offer, so that is sustainable tourism, critical and contested issues in tourism, venture creation, and global issues in tourism, along with sharing economy. All of them have both sort of learning components where, you know, the students learn, and they also have practical components because the students with most of those units do their learning on site, and also many of the lectures are taught by industry practitioners. So the practical component is kind of weaved through all of the teaching, and in addition to that, we also have internships where students can work with one company, and we also have research projects where the students can actually do a project for a company as well.
Fantastic, thank you. So the other question was, yeah, also in terms of the practicals that's involved in the social work, the question was, do they study and do the pracs at the same time?
No.
Okay.
So the
separate.
course is structured so that your prac is done full time, generally over 14 weeks, and your other subjects finish before that, and then next subjects start after that.
Yeah, so the academic units are completed mostly in semester 1, and there is an academic unit also in mid-semester in June, and then placement begin align mostly with semester 2. So through semester 2, students are in placement in both the last 2 years of the Bachelor of Social Work and in both years of the Masters.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And that was all the questions we had for today. So I just want to probably end the webinar here. And I just want to thank you all, and apologies to the audience for some of the technical issues we had with Anthony and David. So, and thank you so much, Tris, for taking over there. So I hope this session was useful to our audience. It will be available on our landing page, which will be shared with you all later on. A recording of this web presentation will be there as well as the slides. So thank you so much for joining. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening for our audience. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.